Find a framework for your transition that works for you. Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and one of the points that I've made before is that you have to develop your own military transition plan. Because in the end, the only person who can make sure that your plan has the right goals and gets executed properly is you. And over the years, I've observed that service members from different specialties have a tendency to think about their military transition using the tools and techniques that are most familiar to them. I've seen field artillery officers think in terms of targeting matrices. I have seen ops research guys with huge spreadsheets. I've seen personnel clerks who are intensely focused on getting the paperwork right. You gotta do whatever works best for you. But recently, I was talking to a retired infantry NCO who shared this analogy, which is spot on and incredibly insightful. He said, transitioning out of the military is like conducting a rearward passage of lines. Now, I'm a bureaucrat. I don't do passages of lines, but I do think that he's onto something. Well, to have at least a touch of credibility, I'm going to refer to FM 3-90, the Army's Field Manual on Tactics. According to the manual, a passage of lines is an operation in which one force moves through another force's combat positions with the intention of moving into or out of contact with the enemy. And there are two types of passages of lines. A forward passage of lines occurs when a unit passes through another unit's positions while moving towards the enemy. And a rearward passage of lines occurs when a unit passes through another unit's positions while moving away from the enemy. Of course, any passage of lines has the potential to involve close combat, and so it is an extremely demanding situation. And a big reason for that is because a passage of lines always involves transferring responsibility between two units. So ideally, there's a higher headquarters who's overseeing and directing this. You see why the old infantry sergeant said that a military transition is like a rearward passage of lines? You, the soon-to-be veteran, are moving backwards, away from the primary mission of your command and service. You are moving through parts of the bureaucratic maze that are controlled by different higher headquarters elements. And hopefully you are transferring your area of responsibility as you are doing this. If I were to sketch this out, you basically have the mission somewhere out there. Whatever it is that your command wakes up every morning worrying about. And you're going to have to move backwards, hopefully with a decent transition plan supported and supervised by your leadership. As you move backwards, you're going to pass into your service's control. You're going to cross phase line tap as you go through transition assistance and do all the paperwork necessary to complete your transition. And then, as you continue that rearward movement, you'll pass under the authority and control of the Department of Defense, and particularly the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, where they deal with your pension and your taxes and your final pay. And then, as you move further back, you'll enter the area controlled by the VA, the land of disability claims and GI bills and home loans. And from there, you keep fading backwards towards Fort Living Room. Maybe it's not a perfect analogy, analogies never are, but it's a pretty good one, particularly because of this point. As you move through your military transition, you are going to be moving under the control of different federal agencies. And a federal agency can only help you in those aspects of your transition that the federal agency is responsible for. You can't get your W-2 through the VA, and you can't track your VA disability claim through your unit. And so if you want to see a much more specific and detailed review of the different agencies and what they're responsible for, watch this video.